brighter light. Inner circles here where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come one, come all, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Inner Circle podcast where hearts unite. Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. Inner Circle podcast where love is well known. Inner Circle podcast where hearts unite.
Wow.
Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Inner Circle podcast. Today is Thursday, June 26th. Couple of more days, 4 more days for June to end. And in Minnesota, here, by the time you go to summer will be over. By the time we enter July, summer will just fly just like that. But tonight is open mic, current events, and everything goes tonight. Everything, I should say, man, everything good. There's a lot going on in the world right now. A lot. Entertainment, current events, war, civil war, whatever you think about, man, woman business, Madisa Hortman funeral tomorrow and stuff. There's a lot going on in the world. So tonight is Unfiltered Night. We call it Inner Circle Unfiltered Night, current events. So welcome to the show tonight. Miss B, welcome to the show, man.
Good evening, everyone. It's your girl, Miss B, always minding the business that pays me.
Okay. Folks.
So what do you want to jump into first? Let's talk about resting in peace or laying to rest of Representative Hortman.
Okay, let me do the commercial first. Folks, there's a growing community. We're still waiting for our tattoo. Anyway, once you do the tattoo, you go live on that one. We're still waiting. But there's a growing community to YouTube, subscribe, Facebook, follow us, LinkedIn, wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcast. Inner Circle is the only platform that's everywhere. Everywhere you think about, we can get podcasts. Only, so join us so we can continue the discussion, grow the community, and bring you information. Every time we bring you information that matters to the community, so thank you for joining us. So go ahead, Ms. B. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, we're going to give some respect and flowers to Representative Melissa Hortman. Rest in peace to she and Mark Hortman, her husband. They will be laying in state tomorrow, along with their dog at the state capitol Friday. And then on Saturday will be a private funeral.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Friday morning will be a private funeral. And we were hosting something where we had invited elected officials for Saturday, but that event, parts of it has been postponed or rescheduled due to her funeral being on Saturday. So
tomorrow is when the public has the opportunity to see her, right? It's like to pay that live respect. And man, she was a trailblazer though, right? If you look out to Minnesota, whether you were in Broken Power, Broken Center, or Coon Rapids, because those are the areas she represented, but she was a trailblazer, someone, is like interacted with the immigrant community. she's a Caucasian, but hey, man, it's like she was like one of us, right? One of us who was very, very active in the community. And she was a trailblazer when it comes to Minnesota politics. It's like she says like I was reading one of the articles that she's one of the most consequential speaker in the history of Minnesota. Imagine that, you know what I mean? Stuff. So she did a lot. She did a lot for the state. She did a lot for her community. She did a lot, and stuff like that. So again, a couple of weeks ago, days ago, we paid a respect to her here. But then, tomorrow is when the state is going to be mourning her officially. Folks will be at the Capitol. If you're in Minnesota and you have the time, the opportunity, show up, man. Show up and just it's going to be an emotional event tomorrow, though, for the state. I can tell you that, right? It's because
Yes.
Melissa was. I mean, sometimes, right? I think she lived. There's something. David Brooks, the former New York Times columnist, wrote a book about your resume virtue versus your eulogy virtue, right? I think Melissa Hortman lived for her eulogy virtue, in that she lived a life, full of substance, like she really impacted people. And I think, it's like tomorrow Minnesota is going to be in mourning, going to be remembering her. So thanks for bringing that up. That we should touch that first. I think, as I said, like a lot of her police have said a lot of good things about her. Even like Representative Huda Hisley, who just got to know her, said a lot of good things about her. She was so calm. It's like these folks, right? If you don't know them, you just feel, but when you get to know them, right, they are just ordinary human beings like us, right? Even though they are in politics, right? Maybe like doing big things, but they are, especially in America, right? Politicians are just ordinary human beings like us. Some of them are so down to earth, they will come and say hi to you, shake your hands, whether during campaign or not campaign, and things like that. So, but Melissa Hotman was obviously one of those, and our goes out to her family, to her kids.
Yeah. Rest in peace to them both. And keeping family members, friends in the state of Minnesota in our state in our thoughts and prayers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we hope such a thing never happens again, man. Nowhere in this country such a thing should happen, right? It's like if you got problem with somebody, hey man, go and vote. That's all I can say.
That
You know,
part. Exactly.
yeah, go and vote, right? It's like you don't have to kill someone. It's like if you disagree with them, go and vote. Voting is the only thing that's going to solve your problem. But to say, oh yeah, you're going to kill the person or do something to harm them, that's not right. So, but our prayers is with Melissa and the and the Hotman family, with Mark and the dog. America, even our dog is gonna be lying instead, right? Is that if an immigrant here that hey, that's America for you, though, right? But we
I
pray
know,
for
right?
we
That
pray,
part.
we pray for the family. We pray for the family. But okay, what's next? What's next, Miss B?
I
What's next for you?
mean, well, the Diddy trial is still happening. I
Well,
think
it's closing argument, though, right?
yeah, it's closing argument, and folks are saying that he may be found not guilty.
It could go either way, though, right? I've been following some of the stuff. It could go either way. I think the reason why it could go either way, right? The defense did not even put up a lot of argument, right? The prosecutor, a lot of present a lot of evidence. They present a
Mhm.
lot of stuff, It's like, but some of those stuff, right? It was so sensational.
It was,
But
yeah.
were he breaking the law,
Were they
right? It's like
criminal? Yes, that's the
exactly
thing.
right. They were so sensational. Is I be wanting to do what were you doing? Like baby bodies all over the place. Yeah, baby all over the place, dude. It's like, come on, man. It's like, so
I'm just like, I. It's the women's. I know, we all kind of knew about Cassie. First of all, I know a lot of women are like, oh, and the women have been the worst, to be honest, in this trial. I think the women's have been the worst critics on the other women that have come into this trial. But for me, the most scandalous piece was 50 Cent's baby mom.
really?
Yes, you didn't real. She was one of the people that testified that basically Puffy's her pimp, and he's been prostituting her. Like, how do you be the mother of 50 Cent's child, one of the most wealthy artists,
Successful rapper,
in the
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and you're his mother of his child, and you are literally admitting to being one of his workers, Puffy's workers, and doing some of these freak offs. And I'm just like, what kind of women? I don't know. I
Did she
don't.
actually testify though? The
She
50
did.
cent? She
She
did?
did. She did.
Wow.
And it was after, and to come to find out, 50 cents, you talk all this talk, like, boy, why didn't you know? Why didn't you know? Exactly. You have so much to say about everybody's business. How did you not know? And then it's after her testimony, he goes back to court quickly to ask for full custody of his son. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
deep.
And
That's
so
deep.
it's just, I question the women. I question your morals, your ethics, your values. There was so much of that happening here in this trial. But then I just think about the stuff we don't know, right? And the people
Yeah.
who were so close to Puffy. I know, and it always comes back to Jay-Z, like, but maybe he really is a decent person and just was always like, nah, man, I'm going home. I'm done. I've had, with it. I mean, what do you think? Like,
Okay.
you're
You know what?
Diddy, and all
Yeah.
of that is happening around you. Like, you can consider them best friends. Like, everywhere you saw Puffy, you saw Diddy. From the time when
So
everywhere you
Jay,
saw
Jay.
Jay, you saw Diddy. We're talking from the early days when Aaliyah was alive. That's how far back Diddy
Yeah.
and Jay hanging out in public at parties pictures can be found. So
Okay.
I'm not gonna say he didn't know. I just want to know, are you just that great of a guy where like, nah, man, I'm
Yeah.
going home, bro.
I would say, yeah, I would stand up for Jay though, right? I think maybe that's why Beyonce married him, right? Because hey man, he's just good of a guy, he say, hey dude, man, where you trying to go right now, right? That's not my thing, you know what I mean? I don't do that, I'm out, So I would stand for Jay on that though, right? Because man, I don't think it's like some of the stuff, right? Like forget about all of the sensational stuff about Puff, but just some of the like the freak offs and the dudes, right? The men and the women and stuff like that. Dude, come on, man. It's like, really? Were you actually doing those things? It's like
And
so
that
it's
means
like,
you're bisexual.
yeah,
Puffy, now we know you're bisexual.
yeah, and those are things, right? It never comes up in the community, right? Especially now, you got some of these powerful dudes that we look up to, that we idolize, in the black community, and you find out it's like I mean, he's a weirdo. It's like,
He
dude.
is. That's just gross. I mean, everything about, honestly, prior to this, I'm like, and I just thank God for who I am. I'm not a woman that's attracted to people because of money.
Okay,
It's
okay.
always been my thing. My best friend and I, we always say we don't want any scrub, and then we took it to the next step. We said we didn't want any SUV niggas. Excuse my terminology. We
Okay.
didn't want guys that drove SUVs because we just knew nothing good came behind it if you were driving an SUV.
Oh, whoa, that's deep.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. My
Okay.
best friend and I, we swore off when we hit high school. We swore off dating guys who were in SUVs. So I was never attracted to somebody like a Diddy. First of all, he don't look good. To be honest, let's stop. He's not
Okay.
a handsome guy. And I
Okay.
know you're with him, women, not because of his looks. You're with him because of the status, the fame, the limelight, right? But outside of that, there's nothing to him that showed he had character, that we would have good conversation. I didn't find him to be very charismatic.
Mm.
Like, I don't know what they saw. Like, I never seen him to be a charming person. Not the kind of guy be like, yeah, man, I would love to just sit and talk with him and hang out. Business wise, yes, I respected him because he seems like somebody who really knew how to make strategic business moves. But even that, right? And so to find out the level of women that he's ran through, and yeah,
My bigger disappointment, though, right, I respect those dudes, but my bigger disappointment, right? They already put black entrepreneurship on the map, right? They already put hip hop on the map.
yep,
Even like the J, right? Rockaware. If you're in America from the late '90s to the early 2000s, man, Rockaware, Sean John, right? Fat Farm, right? It's like if you didn't wear those stuff, if you didn't wear those brands, man, it's like, it's like, and I still miss these brands, right? It's like because but what these guys did, right? They really put black entrepreneurship in the spotlight, and to
yep,
find out that they were doing all those things, right? Is like it's like bringing building up black wealth. Is like making us to believe, right? As a black dude from the wherever you're from, as an immigrant from the inner city or whatever, you can make it, right? And to find out that they were doing all kind of creepy stuff, that they were a bunch of weirdos, especially for P, right? Is that that's my bigger disappointment. Now, like when you come to the ladies though, right? Sometimes I wonder, okay, if you see a dude that's weird, right? Man, I have girls. I'm gonna say this publicly on this platform here tonight. If any of my girls see a dude that abuses them and don't speak up, I'll be the first one to deal with you, man. Because look, that's just common sense. No matter the money, if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel abused, speak up. Especially in America, speak up. But it's like, okay, Cassie, I feel like, oh, she said it was drugs and stuff. But there were moments that you were to yourself, though, right? There were moments where you came to yourself. Folks were telling you it wasn't right. How come you didn't speak up? How come you didn't call the cops? How come you didn't say something? So that's my disappointment both ways.
It was. And at some point, like, okay, I accept the fact you want a man with money. My God, Cassie, you are beautiful. Oh my gosh, she is beautiful from the shape, her looks. You could have bagged so many people. And even when you did step out, Kid Cudi, boo, why? Why? You just had poor choice in men and you didn't have a good circle of people around you, unfortunately. You were young and you gave the best of your youth years to this man. You was with Diddy from 19 to age what? Almost 30, right? And so you were very, very young. And even when you left him, like the trainer, you just got a poor choice in men. It's like you left him and went to his trainer. I think the guy used to be his personal trainer, her husband now. And
Mm,
so it just shows that beauty is not everything, because if you're Cassie, and then what it is, look at Halle Berry. It's like some of the most beautiful women in the entertainment industry has really been ill-treated by men and have had some of the worst luck when it
mm,
comes to men, right?
okay.
And I know people like to hate on Sierra and Russell, but man, her upgrade is, yeah, that's what you
From
talk
Bow
about.
Wow, from the Bow Wow days, right, to
From
Russell. Yeah,
Future to Bow Wow to
yeah,
Russ. I
yeah,
mean, like, we're loving that. That's how you upgrade. That's how you leave the baby dad behind. You don't, yeah. And honestly, if you measure Sierra and Cassie, Cassie's way more beautiful. She's more beautiful than the Beyonce. She's a very beautiful girl. And to have been treated the way that she was, she's more beautiful than Kim Porter, more beautiful
mm,
than J-Lo. She's
mm,
probably the most beautiful woman in his catalog of women. And to have been treated like that, though, like J-Lo was not treated like that. I don't believe Kim Porter was treated like that, you know? And to be treated like that, why? It's like he hated you. He
yeah,
hated you, and he was upset about how good looking you were, to say, you know what, you think you're pretty, I'm gonna show you, like, I'm gonna rip you of everything human.
yeah,
And then the worst part about this whole trial, though, Abraham, this man has two girls and they sat in court. You should never ever have subjected your kids. Forget trying to get out of court. That was bad parenting right there. To have your daughters be subjected to sit in the courthouse to hear the cruel things that you did to other women, right? Other young girls, because Cassie was 19, 18, they're 18-year-old nine. So the other women their age, and sit through testimonies of hearing those things. That's bad parenting. I'm going to forget all the years of good being a father, everything you've done for me. And I would have walked out. The moment Cassie began to tell her story, forget it if she was there out of her own will, if it was consensual, just the idea
yeah. That he
that
actually did that. Yeah,
thinking that my father can treat another woman. What are you going to have to say to my husband or my boyfriend who chooses to treat me like this? What can you say to them? Right?
mhm.
That to me, like, he should be done. I know he's done. Um, you know, I saw the girls getting ready for prom. I'm like, y'all spending all that money right now? Is this the right time to be?
Well, I mean, the thing about it though, right? I mean, I don't think his money is gonna go away, right? He could be done. He could be done, right? Because I think, to me, right? my, as I said, my disappointment in this guy, not only dating man, but like these guys, like so many young black folks look up to, to find out that, man, that character is so damaged, it's like it was just fake, right? They were living like a fake life. They were selling us something. As I said, man, if you were in this country, late 90s, early 2000, the Puff, the J, the Russell Simmons, man, these guys
Damon
were big.
Dash, Russell Simmons,
Yeah,
yes.
these guys were big. They were big. Like every black kid look up to them. Every black kid look up to them. The females, the males, is like, dude,
Yeah.
if
L.A.
you went to,
Reid, Jermaine
yeah,
Dupri.
yeah, if you went to a party, if you're any like Rocky Rockaway or Sean John or Fort Farm, dude, you were out of the game, right? And then with your J's, right, with Jordan, right? Hey, shout out to my man, Jordan. I mean, it's like Michael Jordan, right? He have, I mean, they're supposed to do it. They're supposed to do it, right? Don't get involved in all those crap. But the
Yeah, they're
entertainment
not as
dudes,
bad. Exactly. They're not
yeah,
as bad as the entertainment is nasty. It's messy, both on the white side and the black side. Like
yeah.
right now, we have the thing with Tyler Perry. Again,
Okay,
there's
yeah,
a
that
Tyler
was
Perry. Yeah, there's a Tyler
that's
Perry connection. That's a Diddy. That's a Diddy friend. You have the TD Jakes thing. It's like that's why I was like, there's so many people that could be added to the story. I will say from day one of the trial starting, I read in an
mm,
article that Puffy judges have gone. I mean, people went to the judge to put a gag order in place.
wow.
Yes, to make sure certain celebrity names were not mentioned in this case.
Hmm.
Yes.
That's deep. That's deep.
Like, yeah. Like, and so I mean, Jay being a billionaire it's nothing for him to pay what he got to pay to
Mm,
say,
yeah.
I don't want to be mentioned. I was not a guest at so and so event. I don't want to be mentioned. Even if I was at the venue, even if I was next to Puffy, I don't want my name to be mentioned unless you have a witness saying that I did something to them.
Yeah.
Then I don't want my name to mention. And I'm thinking to that extent, that's the only way you can avoid being mentioned in a case, because there's a lot of people where your name will be mentioned in a case and you not necessarily was a witness or any formal charges are brought against you, but just because of affiliation sometimes, or you're at a certain event, your name will be mentioned. And so
Mm.
it's more likely than not that Jay-Z did pay a gag order to make sure his name was not mentioned any part of this case, unless specific charges were being brought or some witness was testifying accusing him or something. His name was not going to be mentioned.
No, I do understand where you're coming from out with Jay and a lot of those celebrities, right? It's like, man, when they do a stream parties, right? Like all of these free ups that I mentioned, right? Puff is new or was new in the industry, right? That dude, when I do a stream party, like people pay to go to that party because
Thank
they
you.
knew what was up, right? It's like, and he boasted so many times, back in the days or MTVs or BET, right? It's like that he hosted the best party in the
The
industry.
all white, the
Yeah,
annual all
he
white party.
hosted the best
Nobody
party.
competed. You're,
Yeah, it's like
yes,
he
you're
hosted
talking. Yeah,
hands down. He had the best party every time. You
every
know,
year the all
ev-
white party.
yeah,
Mark
everyone.
Cuban would be at that party. J
Yeah,
Lo, even though they broke up, would be at that party with her various relationships. Um, I mean, you could catch a Oprah, you could catch a TD Jakes, you name it. Any black wealthy person would show up to a Diddy all white party. It was
yeah.
nobody competed with that. It's in Martha Vineyards. It was I think it was either Labor Day weekend or Memorial weekend, one of those, some big holiday, or July 4th. But every
Mm.
year you would have that Diddy white party, and people, if you weren't invited, like you said, Abraham, you was asking why didn't I get an invitation and how
Yeah,
much do I have to pay?
yeah. He said, dude, why is my name not on the invite list, right? It's like he called him Puff. He said, dude, he's like, what do I have to do? I mean, to get invited. I mean, maybe if
Yeah,
not this year, it could be next year, right? He did his thing, but to find out that he was doing that with so many, as I said, he's a weirdo, right? And I mean, with kids, like you mentioned earlier, right, I feel bad for his kids, right? It's like, man, how can they, he said like, what? I mean, it might not have been a crime, right? Forget about the crime aspect of it, but doing that to young girls, doing that to females, and you have females, right? You have female
he
daughters
has
doing
three
that to,
daughters. Three
man, it's
daughters.
like doing
Yeah.
that to females. How will you feel if someone do that to your daughter?
Yep. All three
You
of
know?
those girls were in the courtroom. I was like, what? when I found out and they showed them leaving the courtroom, I was like, your dad should have been the first one to be like, baby, I love you guys. I know you want to come support me, but do not. My boys can be there. That's enough, you know. But do
Even his
not,
mom, right? His mom being there is like I said, like his mom.
mom, and
I
even
said,
Jessica's
I
mom,
said,
the
mom.
baby mom was there.
I said, hell no, don't, please, please, don't show up here, right? I love you. Just follow. I don't even want you listening to the news or reading the news about this case, right? Just, just tune out. Just tune out.
And
You know.
even me, it was hard for me to. I have not listened to every single word or read every single content, to be honest, intentionally, because it is graphic. It is very, very graphic.
Right.
And at some parts of it, even if you have your husband, Abraham, this is the part about the law. Even if you have your husband and you guys could be married for 25 years, if you tell your husband no just one time
Yes or no? Yeah.
and he violates you, that's a crime.
Yep. Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
not going to say all of it was consensual. The times where she said she was drugged, like why the person's not, she's not coherent. So how could she give you agreement? I don't care how long you and her have been dating or been together.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's one time where you've drugged her and she was not coherent to give consensus or give approval for that interaction, there goes the criminal behavior. And so do we say, oh, because of the length of time that they were together, and if it was just one or two times where he did that, do you dismiss it? No, that's criminal. Like, get
I
my
think he
permission.
did. I think he did Cassie and a lot of the other females very, very dirty, right? But
Yep.
he felt he could get away with it, and that's the sad part, right? He felt like, man, no one's gonna come after me. I have the money. He's like, I can ruin your career. I can do anything to you.
That
So
part.
yeah, you know, so hey, don't don't dare me because you don't know who you're playing with. I'm very powerful and stuff like that. So he felt like he was untouchable. And some of the thing I see with money and power, right, is like I always feel like money and power. I always says like when you give, if you want to know the true character of a human being, just give them money and power. Money and power, right? Is like it really, really messes that because if you want to test a character of a human being, just give them either money or power. You will know who they are. You will know if you say that person is your friend, you will know whether they're your true friend or is your enemy or he's out to get you. You know, so that's why I
Exactly.
think that because when someone is grounded, when someone have a character, when someone feels like, you know, this I have this money, but it's not meant to to abuse other people. It's meant to do good. Or this power is meant to contribute to the betterment of the world. That person will behave different if I say someone who feel like, gosh, I have the money, I have the resources, I can do whatever I want, right? And that's the daily. I mean, that's the daily kind, right? You feel that, hey, I have the money, I can get any females I want. I can do anything to them, you know. And that's so sad though, because as you said, well, you're having three girls.
Yeah.
What if another powerful person do that to your daughter? How will you feel?
Exactly.
How
Exactly.
will you feel? You know,
Like Russell Simmons. Russell Simmons is another one. That's why he doesn't live in this country anymore. He's evading,
he
he's
ran.
avoiding,
They do
he's
ran
avoiding
before
being charged. Yeah,
the.
because even Kamora Lee said, you know, maybe she exaggerates, but she said Russell Simmons been knowing her since she was 11 years old.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
But she
She
was.
accuses.
But you see, but that's the thing though, right? But that's the thing though, right? It's like she was. Did you watch? I mean, Kamala Simmons show back in the days on or was it on MTV or BET or whatever?
Yeah, her reality show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it's like she was happy, she was doing her thing. As to me though, right? It's like these females, man. It's like sometimes stop following the money, man. Stop it. You know,
That
start following the
part.
money, the firm, I mean the fame and the wealth, right? It's not worth
Yep.
it. At the end of the day, it's gonna destroy you, right? You could have all of that and someone just abuse you and then you feel that you are nothing. And it's both for me, the reason I'm disappointed in these black dudes, right, is like the puff. I mean, Jay hasn't been accused of anything, so I still got my
He
respect for
has,
him.
but I mean, he has ways of, he
So
has. I mean, we all, the biggest drama is um free from 106 in Park. Rumor has
mhm,
it she was dating Jay, and he has admitted to cheating. We all know he did cheat on Beyonce. There
mm,
were a time when they were separated. Yeah, they did a vow renewal, and we didn't even know. That's how secretive Beyonce can be, and tries to cover a lot of this stuff because there's a special he was doing and he's in an interview and he said they went to therapy. I almost lost my wife. There's accusations of Rachel Roy, who again used to date Damon Dash. It seemed like Jay is not the most good looking, so he always went for his friends and women, to be honest.
Okay.
That's just what it is.
Okay.
And some of that's the problem with him and Damon Dash is like, okay, you try to talk to Aaliyah, you mess with Rachel Roy. These are all girls that Damon Dash have dated or had relationships with. And there's the Free from 106 in Park. I don't know if folks can remember her. She was one of the VJs on BET 106 in Park, but she just disappeared, right? And rumor has it she was having an affair with Jay and she got pregnant for him. And apparently Beyonce and her mom, kind of invoked fear in her and had her paid for her to have an abortion.
Whoa.
Yes. Or she has decided to keep the child and raise the child, in secret. Because if you Google Free, say what happened to Free from 106 in Park, it's been I think for the very first time she was out at the recent BET Awards. She was out. Yeah, she was out. And I think they must have did a tribute to 106 in Park at the BET Awards this year. And that's the first time I think we've seen Free out in public since the whole alleged Jay-Z affair. And so he hasn't been perfect and he has admitted they've just been very private. But again, the entertainment industry is so messy. Let's go back to recently Tyler Perry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Now we know. Now we know Tyler Perry's gay. Yeah, now we know Tyler Perry's gay.
Okay.
Which I kind of always suspected. He's very feminine acting. And not just because he played Medea. The leg crossing thing, the way a man men can cross their legs and be straight, but the way you cross the legs and, different things.
Okay.
So the white guy recently is suing, and that guy has been in Tyler Perry production. He's suing for $260 million. But then Christian Keys came out maybe a year or two ago. So Christian Keys, I've been knowing Christian Keys connected to Tyler Perry when the plays used to come out. We went to go see the plays. We're talking in the era of when Diary of a Mad Black Woman was first a play, but then it became a movie. And then after that, he did other Black plays. So I would go see the plays. And so Christian Keys been with Tyler Perry from the plays and then into some of his movies.
Okay.
He's like, oh, there's a man in the industry. He's very powerful. And, he has made advances at me and so on and so forth, but eventually one of these days I'll be able to come out. Well, the white boy now has came out and Christian Keys now too has added his accusation to Tyler Perry as well. So, like when people always say where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah. That was shocking to me, right? But hey, to you is like I love Tyler Perry movie, especially Diary of a Mad Black Woman, My Dear, they do is fun. And again, right, as I said, one of my biggest disappointments there in the Tyler Perry though is like, okay, you are presenting yourself as a family person, right? Just recently at the BET Awards, right? He went off against the current environment we live in, how folks are being targeted, blah, blah, blah. But then you live in this double life, right? To me, that's what gets to me, right? Come on and say, hey, I'm bisexual, I'm gay. It's like, don't wait for a dude to come out and accuse you, right, of that stuff. It's so disappointing to the young generation, the folks that look up to you. And to me, it's like in our Black community, the biggest fear is that you guys is like, especially powerful dudes on the down lows, man. It's like, what does that say? How does that trickle down? Folks are saying that, young folks are saying that and say, man, is that a thing? You can be on the down low, you can go both ways and stuff like that. That's so wrong, right? That is so wrong, and that's why sometimes you feel like there's so many ills, right? So many nonsense in our community, though. It's like the folks attribute so many stuff to our community because of these things.
And that's the thing is like there is a lot of powerful gay men in Hollywood or bisexual men in Hollywood that are out in the open. I don't understand. I would think it's 2025 and it would be okay, but I guess it's still very much a taboo. Like Clive Davis is gay. And he's one of the most powerful men in the music industry. But to be honest, I didn't know Clive Davis was gay until the Whitney Houston biography, that autobiography that they shot, is when I realized that Clive Davis was gay. Clive Davis been gay, I think, since the 70s, 80s. He
Okay.
left his wife, whatever. And so it's a lot of men who have been, I think, somewhat openly, because even though we may not have known, but the industry has known. And I don't know, I think somebody like a Tyler Perry, especially, I do want to give him his accolades to be as
No, no,
successful,
no. Yeah.
to own what he does, to have provided the platform for Black people. He is the BET network. Like, he is the entire BET network. He was holding OWN down, Oprah's network down. And so it is unfortunate, right? So you being gay is not even the problem, but the fact that
No.
somebody's accusing you,
Yeah.
yeah, we're fine that it's come out the closet, but it's the accusations in which this guy is saying you sexually assaulted him is the problem. And now another person comes to say you sexually assaulted them. That is the problem we're having with this news. Is I don't think the industry cares that he's gay, to be
No, I
honest.
don't think even I would admit it, right. I don't think anyone cares, even in our community, that he's gay. The fact that if you are gay, come on and say, "Hey, dude, I'm gay," right? Hey, that's why I love. I don't love women. I don't love women, right? It's like, I mean, you might be a rare breed in the Black community, right? But hey, we'll forgive you for that, right? You might be one of those. We'll forgive you, right? But hey, just come on and say that. The ditties, right? Look, if bisexual, say you are. Tyler Perry, if
That part,
bisexual,
yeah.
gay, just say you are. So folks can know who you are, right? But hiding your identity, right? Is like, going out with these people. I thought Tyler Perry was married with family and things like that, right? But to come out and say, honestly, I thought he did, right? I thought he was married with his family, wife and kids. But to find out that you know what I mean, like
He's
he's gay,
single. He
he's
only has the
single.
one
Oh,
child. Yep. And
oh,
he
he got.
never
I mean, he got a
married her.
child.
Yeah, he has a son. He
Oh.
never married the mom. They co-parent together. He takes care of them.
Hmm.
He's never married. He's never been married. And so those are some of the things that, can make us so even believe even more. Like, oh, now we get it. This is why you went and had a child with somebody just as a little cover up. This is why you never married her. And you women, we know the man we are sleeping next to. Nobody needs to come and tell us about our man.
Okay. So you women need to be educating the rest of the community then, because I figure, I mean, some of these dudes that be on the downloads. I have serious problem with dudes on the downloads though. For real, because that is so risky to our community. It is so risky to our community. If on it, look,
Yeah.
if you on the download, say it, right? Let folks know it. If I know someone is gay, but you also like females, I know you like to be both ways. I know not to anybody messing with. I know probably not to try to even like what you know what I mean. Try to even go around them because I know what's up, right? I
Yeah.
think that's a risk to our community. Is like these dudes are on the download going both ways. That's a huge risk to our community, and it's just not right. And to me, that's why like they are role models. They should be the ones setting that example because you have kids, you have young folks trying to say that's normal. It's not. It's not normal. It's not.
And
Look,
they try to bring other boys into this thing. And I know that's what the industry is struggling with, like the Ushers, the Chris Brown. I'm sure there were times where they had to and Justin Bieber, we don't know what's happening with Justin Bieber. People are saying
he was abused. That,
yeah,
that, that's
that's what
that,
people are
that's what
saying.
ever brought.
And
Even
he could have
Usher
been
was even Usher was abused. I mean,
no,
I'm gonna say that. How you
Usher
gonna
does
say
not.
no? He was abused.
Usher denied. Usher never said he was abused. Usher said that he was at Diddy's house for it was like a camp, and his mom let him be there, and he did see things he should not have been seeing at his young age. But he never said he was ever involved or interacted. Now,
Okay.
Justin Bieber, they're saying is he probably was physically touched, like he's probably been touched, right? And that's trauma. Those are demons because
It messes with you. Yeah, it
it
messes
messes
with
with
you.
your head. It
Yeah.
messes with your head. And maybe sometimes it was not even at your own will. Maybe you were at a party, you're a little heavy, and it looks like that's what Diddy likes his people to be intoxicated or not in their right mind. Because every time an incident happened, there's drugs involved, right? And I'm sure at a Diddy party, that's the number one thing on the menu is drugs. All types of different type of all types of different type of drugs. And Justin Bieber, you engage. So when you mix the alcohol, the pill, the thing they smoke from the bong. When you mix all of that and you end up with Diddy touching you and telling you things, next thing you know, you wake up in the morning like, what the F? And who you about to go tell that to? Right?
Yeah.
You're a guy,
Yeah.
young man in the industry. It's Diddy. Like, who you gonna go tell that to? Like, oh no, man, you weren't cool. You didn't want this to happen. I'm sorry. It'll just be between a two of us. But you've already been touched, right?
Yeah.
And not only have you been touched, but now you have to keep that to yourself.
You have to
That's
live
the
with that.
worst
Yeah.
thing.
No, you have to
Yeah.
live with that. Yeah.
You gotta live with that. And eventually you have to get that out. And I'm thinking that's what we're dealing with Justin Bieber. And then you have a child, you're a parent now, and it's a different level when you become a parent. You know, your mentality is different. And so it's some of those things that is happening in the industry. And you're like, to what end? Like, I don't know what movie it was, but I think it was like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith series on Netflix. Wealthy man. Like, he has so much money and he literally was willing to pay two people to act like dogs in front of him. Yeah, he went to this elite party, and within that party, he's like, okay, I'll pay you guys this ridiculous amount of money. So that's how people get so rich and have nothing else to do with the money. They start inventing things for people to do in front of them or demonstrate to them, or an act for people to do on them to spend their money. I'm just like, it's sick. That level of wealth, we don't all want those problems. We don't want those type of problems, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. By the way, let's the audience comments there. So men may get away with abuse, particularly domestic violence, due to a combination of factors, including societal biases, fear of not being believed, and reluctance to report due to embarrassment or stigma. The musical industry is like the political space, especially for females. Before you get help or rise, those in a better position might want to use or abusive. Miss B, what's
That
your
is
thought on
true.
that?
That
What
is
is
true. I mean, you will have so many women, the Mary J. Blige, the Lauren Hills. I mean, you know, only very few would say, you know, they thank God, Foxy Brown, the whole R. Kelly thing, right? And that is unfortunate. And you go to the movie industry as well, the Harvey Weinstein,
Yeah, like the Scarlett Johansson, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's a fine Caucasian.
yes,
I mean, that is like she's so beautiful, right? It's like, and it's like that dude wanted to, I mean, whether he did it or not, right? But hey, he wanted to get his thing before she could, before.
yeah. And you know, Joan Rivers talks about it, and she's like, "That's the one thing about me. I didn't have to sleep my way to the top in Hollywood." And a lot of them, they were willingly knowing that, okay, in order for me to get to where I'm going to go, I need to do this. And so the women on the side who are willing and was okay with that, they make it bad for the women who aren't. Because then men got used to the fact, like, oh, well, if Jackie, you know, was willing to sleep with me to get this movie, you know, why aren't you
And
now?
she's more beautiful than you, and she's more
Exactly.
talented than you.
Exactly. Then what about you, Megan? You
Yeah,
don't want me to hit it, you know?
yeah,
And it is, and it's not even just in the music industry, music or movie industry or Hollywood. It's unfortunate women are not respected as a whole in every sector, every industry you can think about. There
mm.
are landlords out here taking advantage of single moms, you know,
Oh,
low income mothers. Yes. Oh my gosh. If you Google in Minneapolis, there's so many cases where they're sleeping with the women for their rent.
wow,
Yes.
wow.
So being a woman is tough.
Mm.
You know, even in the most safest of industry, nonprofit, it's scandalous. It's scandalous. So
Okay.
it is like every industry, unfortunately, being a woman is hard, right? And there are a lot of us who are very strong will, you know, that are going to stick up for our ethics and our values and our morals, and will miss out on climbing that ladder, getting that promotion, you know, receiving that reward, because you're saying, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to settle. I'm going to work my way up. And then there are women who are really willing to play the game, play the role, that make it hard for us that are not trying to do that, right? And so
Yeah.
there's two sides to this. There's two sides to this coin, unfortunately. And
I
so, meh. men continue to dominate and take and have control.
I think that's unfortunate, right? Things like, what females have to go through, right, just to rise up the ladder. Now, don't get me wrong, is I think we men have to take account. I mean, have to be accountable, right? Because to me, that's not right. That's not right. You shouldn't have to what? Maybe like have something with someone to give them opportunity if you're in a position of power. That's just not right, right? It should should be judged, right, on the what? The content of that character. What can that person bring to the table? We all know in America is about what can you do, what can you produce, what can you bring to the table? And someone have to be judged because they are female, you want to sleep with them, or they are pretty, or you want to know about them. I mean, to me, that's just wrong, right? It's like the fact that females have to endure that. I mean, I'm speaking as a father for, I mean, with 3 girls, right? It's like it's so sad, and it just it just. But as you said, right, it's a kind of a society we live in. So I mean, it's male dominant, and things like that. And you got some bad apples. That's a sad part. There's a lot of bad apples. Like they feel like, and sometimes you telling some, it's like to me, some of the dudes though, is like you don't have to do that, right? If you just don't have to do that. I mean, because that's just the wrong way to go about those things. So, I mean,
Every woman has the right to say no. Even the prostitute has the right to say no.
obviously, yeah, yeah,
Even the prostitute who is doing this as her profession has the right to say no. No, I'm not going to sleep with you tonight, or I'm not going to, perform these particular acts. I want
mhm.
to give you this service and that service. I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that. And everybody should have the right to say no. It's just unfortunate that men continue to take advantage of women. I mean, why do we get paid less? We make far more less than our male counterparts,
Mm.
right? And statistically, corporations will see that they do better when a female is in leadership, right? Statistically, but we won't get those promotions. We'll get passed out, or if we do get that promotion, we're going to make less than if a male counterpart was in that role, right? And the same thing when you talk about female actors, talk about how underpaid. You got the Taraji P's and others will tell you how underpaid they are in Hollywood. And even if you become Halle Berry, and at some point it's like the Oscar is a curse these days, because when you win the Oscar now, the roles stop coming,
Mm.
right? And when you get to that place where you're supposed to start making more, if the roles come, they still don't want to pay you what you're worth, right? And so women, we continue to deal with these things, but we still here being first ladies.
So,
Shout out
are
to
you guys
Michelle
the
Obama.
reason? Are you guys the reason why they have wished a serious war on DEI or something? Because I don't think because of black people. You saw all these females, advocating for their rights, advocating for equal pay. These dudes are saying, hell no, this DEI stuff gotta go away because these females should be at home, not to be advocating for equal pay or better pay or whatever. So are you guys the reason why? Because I'm still confused about why there's an attack on DEI, though, right? I still struggle with that
White
because
men don't want to share space with white women.
okay,
They want them to be pregnant and at home. They
okay,
want to go back to the Wonder Years. There's this sitcom that was television show that used to be Wonder Years, right?
mm-hmm.
And that's the era that white men want us to go back to, where the women stayed at home and took care of the kids and cooked for them, and they came home to a cooked meal and a clean house. And they're pregnant. And I think you're right. DEI really benefited from white women benefited from DEI because they started to get these promotions. They start to get their businesses start to get resources and access to capital. And so they really did benefit from DEI. When we talk about minority businesses, people hear minority business, they're considering a minority business if a white woman is owning the business. Again, when research will show you that if it's a white female business owner, she's 10 times more likely to get capital than a black female business owner, or even sometimes a black male or a male business owner of color, right? And so when you hear the label minority business, it's not only representing black or BIPOC. Minority can represent a sex as well. Minority can
Mm-hmm.
represent a religion. Minority can represent an ethnic group, right? And so oftentimes people will relate DEI and minority with black people, but forgetting that white women and other, people, disability people, LGBTQ people, they all fall under those labels as well.
I think DEI was never for black. I've said it. We had a segment on that. DEI was never for black people. Never
No,
benefited black people.
no,
Okay, so I had a day right. It's like it was never for black people, especially in the corporate world. Was never for black people. Never
nope.
benefited black people. And so it's like I'm confused how like black people are being attacked because of DEI. It's like we are being used as a pawn because it's like here you go. It's like dude. I never benefited from DEI. I know a lot of black people who never benefited from DEI. So what are you talking about?
It's the sad thing. How many black people knew that DEI wasn't for them?
No, no. First of all,
It took Trump coming into office to get rid of DEI before we finally got the data.
uh, no, I knew that all along that this crap was never for black people. After that whole George Floyd stuff, may his soul rest in peace. Right? It's like corporations was running, but when it came, they knew exactly what they needed to do and where they needed to go. So DEI was never for and never benefited black people. It never
Mm-mm.
did. So but anyway.
And I don't even want, if it's gonna benefit me, let it say black people. Like, why does it need to be disguised as something else?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So it's like, in regards to the comment earlier that we need to, you females now need to believe in yourself and say no and speak out. But I mean, most people
And,
don't
and
speak
I
out
want to
because
say
that,
something about that, Abraham. That is and I sit in sympathy with every woman that has ever been abused or any shape or form, and you have not been able to come forward. I do not want to dismiss your trauma. I struggle with that though. That is the thing I struggle with the most, like your inability to come forward. And this waiting 20,
but
30 years
but the
later,
other
I
thing, but the
really
other thing
struggle
though,
with that.
right? But let me come out right. In their defense, right? It might say, okay, maybe your career depended on that. Maybe your financial status depended on that. Maybe if you do that, right? Like back in the days, right? Maybe if you did that, right? If you came out and spoke out, it's like your life could be destroyed. Someone with money could destroy your entire family.
And
It
they
could be
have been
somebody.
killed. Women have been killed
Yeah,
for
then
speaking out.
they're not only coming after you, but your entire generation, and they'll tell you that
Yeah,
in your face. So, I mean, in their defense, I would say it's like someone with money and power can do anything to you because they feel they can get away with it. And sometimes that's the sad part with some of these situations, right? These dudes with the money and the power, no one is checking them, right? It's like even their employees, they might be seeing the wrongs, right? The employee will say, dude, what you're doing is wrong, but hey, I'm your boss. Don't tell me that, right? It's like, don't say that to me. So in their defense, right, it's like they might have the courage or the will to speak up or to speak out, but knowing that, oh gosh, if I do that, if I
the
dare do that,
consequences. Yeah,
yeah, the consequences might be so greater. And even if sometimes you go report, the cost might be or the law might be asking you, are you sure? Are you
that
sure?
part.
Are you
That part.
I mean, you talking about Diddy or you talking about Tyler Perry or you talking about, Jeffrey? I mean, whatever that dude name is or what, you know what I mean, and things like that. Are
Jeff
you sure that,
Epstein.
yeah, are you sure that's the dude you're talking about? It's like they might be questioning you, right? Are you talking about Harvey Weinstein? Really? Are you sure he can do that? And things like
And
that. So
I think like really big female celebrities accused Harvey. White female came out and came forward, like big name celebrity white females. And again, I don't know if he's even really ever been. I don't know what happened to the case. To be honest, I don't know if I think he was found guilty. Did he
he
do
was
any
found guilty for
time?
the second. He was found guilty in LA, but in New York, the case was thrown out. But then he was found guilty. They didn't believe they felt that the prosecutors messed with the case, right? So they retried him. He got away with one, but he was guilty of one. I mean, that's
Yeah,
it's like the thing he did, right? Some of it is you can say was consensual, right? But the folks needed to what? I mean, some of these females needed to get into the industry. That's the only way they could get, right? He was the gatekeeper. The thing about gatekeepers, where they can do anything to you. Gatekeepers are very, very dangerous. If someone is a gatekeeper, that's the only person you can get past to get you a door or through a gate. They can, try to do whatever they want to do to you. And Harvey Weinstein was a gatekeeper to Hollywood. And man, that dude went through a lot of he did a lot of stuff. He went through a lot of those females. But here's another one. I think this is for Tyler Perry. So why didn't he come out a long time ago? I saw the text message. Oh, okay. I think his accuser, right? That was exchanged. And I have some question. I'm totally against abuse in any form, harassment or molestation. But these victims need to speak up as soon as things happen. Again, to my
And
point
that's
though.
what I'm talking about. Yeah, but Abraham makes a good point. Like their fear for their life is real, right? And then we see how even after these women have all this money and power themselves, there's the Harvey Weinstein thing, right?
Hmm.
It's hard to get that conviction, right? Um, and this is a problem I had with the Bill Cosby case. 50 women, some of them, 50 women came forward, but here's the thing: he was only convicted of one person.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he was let free because that particular situation, he said, hey, if I testify here, you have to promise that you can't come and convict me here. And so that's why Bill Cosby didn't serve all his time, because the courts messed up. You made a deal on this end with the man, then you came back to charge him for the same thing that you said you wasn't going to charge him for. And
Mm.
so that's why the case eventually got thrown out. But the thing with Bill Cosby, he said, he's not saying these actions did not happen. He describes in detail how they happened. And he says, yes, drugs was evolved. It was the norm. And some of these incidents was repeated with the same individual, where you knew he got the car, he sent the car for you, you went, something happens that you claim was not consensual, but then you allow it to happen again.
Okay. That I
Where
mean that part, right? Is like
Yeah,
yeah,
and
that one.
and that's the struggle some people are having with if we think about the Cassie situation, right? And some of these women, not only did it happen, you will see them in Cosby episodes.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Right.
And so Cosby would say, "Oh, on this day in 1985, Beverly Johnson came to my house. This is how it happened. We all agreed to take," because there's the thing. Hollywood was big on drugs. Like that was the norm. Like you and your partner, husbands and wives, you're thinking Bon Jovi, Guns N' Roses type time. It was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like even husband and wife would snort and then engage in sexual activity. They
Mm.
would they would hit a line of coke and then engage in sexual activity. So this is what Cosby is saying. You showed up and you knew that there was going to be party favors or paraphernalia, whatever, at the get together. We would both engage in the drug of choice for the moment, and then we would interact.
Mm.
Now you want to come back years later and say, "Oh, he drugged me," and that's how
Yeah,
you
he
get.
said, yeah, he said that wasn't consensual. Yeah. I mean that's yeah, that's a tough part, right? Again, I mean, it's like, man, I mean, to your point earlier, right, I mean, the entertainment industry, even up to this day, is so dirty. It's so deep and dirty. And like, some of the gatekeepers in there feels like the only way they can get their way, the only way they can help people is to abuse them or do whatever to them or take advantage of them, which is wrong, right? But it's that I mean that industry is it's so deep. I think like it's never going to stop coming out. Even to as we speak today, I don't think it's ever going to stop because like it seems to be the norm. Money and power just get people in the wrong mindset, right? Feel that I can
Yeah,
get away with this, I can do whatever. No one's going to check me. No one's going to stop me. It's so wrong.
like the guy from what is it, Club Shay Shay? Uh, uh, what is his name? Uh,
What did he
Club
do?
Shay, the football player, Shannon Sharp.
Oh, yeah, yeah, Shiny Sharp. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's like, as I said, right, it's never going to stop coming out. Is it? Do the thing about it though, right? Here's the thing. I I volunteered at a Vikings game, sometime last year. These two beautiful Caucasian young ladies, right? It's like looking for the player. It's like trying to figure out where the players elevator were so they could they were acting like family, right? They said, hey, they were family to the players and stuff like that. You can tell, hey, if we were family, you could have been in a suite long time
yeah,
ago, right?
exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Two beautiful Caucasian ladies, right? Young girls looking for where the players were. Sometimes it's like you have a situation where folks are going like throwing themselves into that environment. As I said, people with money and power don't care at times. They don't care. It's like
Mm-hmm.
they are just they feel that they can get away with anything, so they don't really care, and that's the sad part. But but you have folks right throwing themselves. To your point earlier, right, my thing is right. Why put yourself in that situation? Why? Why
And
put
this
yourself in
and
that
this
situation?
particular man says that's all he dates is white women.
Okay.
That part.
Okay.
That part, right?
Yeah,
That part.
yeah, Shawty Sharp. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
now,
he
yeah, and
said
now
that's
he's
all he
talking.
dated is white women. Don't we
And
wish everybody was like LeBron James?
oh, well, I mean, I hear that, man. Don't I hear like that dude do NDAs, no disclosure.
So does Beyonce.
Oh, really?
You show up to a party for Beyonce, you signing her NDA. She lives on NDAs.
Okay, that's good, right? It should. I mean, I think NDA should be this dude should be doing NDAs, and that NDA should be a lifetime thing.
The
Because
NDA is not necessarily because I don't want you to report on me. The NDA is like, oh, you come to my house, I'm eating, you see me eating peanut butter too much, and you go and say, oh, I went to LeBron's house and he was eating a lot of peanut butter. That's what an NDA is basically for. Is like, don't come to my house or to my event and then want to run with every little thing that you see, right?
mm,
The NDA is not for I'm sleeping with people I shouldn't be sleeping with, and so I'm making them sign an NDA. Yeah, I believe that LeBron James, until something happens, he's a genuine guy with a good character. The guy's
he
been with
li-
the same woman since he
he
was
live on
17 years
NDAs.
old.
I'm just telling you, he live on NDAs, right? These females that enter his parties or whatever, right, can never tell. They can never
And,
tell, right?
and
He
that's
live on
everybody,
NDAs.
like
That's what I'm saying. I'm not
Denzel
saying.
Washington. And
Uh,
that's the thing. I can give you a good list of good guys. Denzel
uh,
Washington, nothing.
mm.
What's Morris Chestnut, LL Cool J,
Ella
Ice
Cool J,
Cube,
nothing on Ella Cool J, nothing.
nothing on LL Cool J. Ice
Mm,
Cube, 32 years of marriage, Ice Cube. You
okay.
know, they got some good ones. Boris Kojo, married to
Mm,
Nicole Ari Parker, been together
okay.
since Soul Food.
Okay.
And so we have good men out there, ladies. Don't lose hope, right?
I
We
hope no one have accused them of being on a down low or being on a cover, right? So so you
we
never,
have not heard anything yet. Denzel
okay.
Washington will be 72 years old. That man been with his
Okay.
wife since 1985.
Okay.
I think before I was born.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And so, but let's get to Jeff Bezos before we close.
Yeah, but no, but let me just put this the last one up here, right? About this
Tell me,
download dude.
just
Yeah,
look around.
yeah, about this download dude. But Puff was
I
never married
agree.
though. Puff was never married, and I
Puff
don't think
has Puff was
it
never
just,
married, yes, but
yeah.
some of them do. We do have a lot of married people,
Mm-hmm.
um, that are in the closet.
Okay. Okay.
You know, like I
Okay.
said, Clive Davis was married for a long time, and then he decided to come out.
Okay. Okay. That's fair.
I'm not gonna say names, but can you imagine being married to somebody for 21 years and then all of a sudden they wake up one day and say, "Honey, I'm sorry, but I've been gay all this time,
I
and
think she knew that.
I have
I
to
think
be."
she knew. I mean, I think she knew that. I don't think she
This
would
was
not
it.
ever. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think she knew
We
that.
we women, we know who we're
Yeah.
laying next to. I don't
Yeah.
need nobody to come and tell me but my husband. If your husband is cheating on you, you the first one to know.
Yeah.
You
I
are the
think she
first
knew that.
one to know.
Yeah.
If your husband is sleeping with men, you're the first one to know.
Okay.
I think what happens is if they say, "Oh, they didn't know," they were in denial. There were things that they saw and they chose to ignore it. They chose to because they didn't want to, miss out on their happy home, what they thought was home happy. They got used to that person, used to the lifestyle that they've created, and you don't want to lose that. So you continue to hold on to the fantasy, right? And don't
Yeah.
want to be real about what's going on.
Okay. Okay. Now we got two last topics. I said tonight is open mic, folks. We've been flowing, right? That's what the hour has gone by so fast. But we got
It
two
has.
two to get to here. Right? But we'll end up with the Jeff Bezos thing. But there's I just want to jump into a little bit of politics, right? The Zoran Madani, who just won the New York, primary. I mean, he's
Mhm.
trending. He's trending, right? It's like he's
New
he's your
York State
guy.
representative. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's your guy, right? Miss B says he's a socialist. But the thing he's talking about, to me, the reason why I think we should bring him up here tonight, right? Because we always talk on here on Inner Circle Podcast, right? Amplifying, empowering, elevating black immigrant voices. And this dude is an immigrant from Uganda, moved here
Yeah.
at the age of 9, right?
And he looks white. Let's just say that part. He looks white, you
Well,
guys.
because his parents are Indian. He was born in Uganda, but his parents were from India, moved to Uganda. That's where he was born. So he's a Ugandan, by
Mhm.
birth. And then he immigrated to the US, right, at the age of 9. And then hey, it's like a thing I've said all along, right? We shouldn't be afraid to put our hat in the ring, right? I mean, he was going against an establishment, right?
Mhm.
His background, right, is like his background tells you that he had no chance. Number one, he's an immigrant from Africa, Uganda. Two, right?
Mhm.
Two, he's a Muslim. Okay. And now, right, the biggest controversy, right, to me, I would say is like, I mean, and the only reason why I'm bringing him up here tonight is because of his background, mainly because he's an immigrant from Africa. I think we should celebrate his achievement, right? Like, immigrants coming here, they should know in America, anything and everything is possible. Now, when it comes to his policy, man, I don't agree with that. It's like he want New York. I know New York is expensive. When you hear like the average rent in New York, right, or the minimum is only 4,000, why folks are living over there? Move out.
No,
Get
but
out.
that's the thing, you guys.
Out of there.
The wealthy people are 1%. 1% wealth cannot carry the economy of this country.
Okay, I'm
Why
not
is
gonna
the
pay 4,000
solution
rent in New York. I'm gonna move out.
that
I'm
part?
gonna
But
move
why do you
out.
think? Why do you think it's 4,000? Rich people cause inflation, but then don't want to cover the tax burden. They cause things to be expensive, but don't want to cover the tax burden.
Let's be. If someone is living in New York, right? America is 50 states plus 2 territories. There's a lot of places that can pay better wages, cheap rent. Hey, first of all, to all New Yorkers, come to North Dakota. Rent is cheap. Okay.
But this
Come
is
to
but
the
prime example. It
there are
cannot
some
stay that
jobs.
way. What
Yeah.
happened? You know what they've done? The
Yeah.
pandemic happened. Californians have left and flocked to Arizona. Things have gotten expensive. Silicon Valley has transferred to Houston. Toyota moved to Houston. Things have gotten expensive. When the rich move somewhere, they cause the value of things to go
So as they
extremely
come,
high.
I'm gonna move out. As they come, where things are expensive, I can't afford rent. I'm
And
gonna
that's
get out
the
of there.
thing.
I'm
Even
gonna get
even
out.
and that's the problem. Every city wants high tax bracket paying people to move into their city. What happens is you want to increase your tax base. That's here in Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center,
Everywhere.
Maple Grove. Everybody wants high tax bracket residents, right? You want people that has high income. What happens is those people don't want to pay taxes.
That's it.
So who's
It's
going
like
to foot the bill? Who's going to foot the bill? You don't want your poor people there. You think people are poor because it's their fault. But at some point, you get all the rich people there, hoping they're going to cover the bill. They don't want to cover the bill. The businesses don't want to cover the bill. The rich people don't want to, residents don't want to cover the bill. The poor middle class is the one footing the bill for everybody. And your solution is now just move.
move out. That's my solution. Move out.
The
If rent,
solution
I'm
is
not gonna pay for the 500.
capitalism
I'm
needs
not
to
gonna pay for
change.
the $500 rent in New York. Move out.
Capital,
Come to Philly. Philly is right there. Philly is right there. Even though you might be
so
living in rat infested places, right? But I mean, there's still rat in New York. But come to Philly.
capitalism
Come
needs to
to
change, Abraham. It worked for a while. It allowed a lot of people, not even a lot of people, it allowed a certain percentage of people to gobble up all this wealth. It worked for a while and it's not working anymore. We don't want to accept the fact it's not working. So
what?
everybody who is really understanding the economics of the thing is going to say, you know what, the rich need to pay more taxes. And then y'all get upset with them.
Yeah, we get upset because hey, they're trying
But
to
you're
extract
covering,
wealth. They're
when they're
trying to
talking about
extract
rich,
wealth.
they're not talking about you, Abraham. They're not
I don't like
us
to
who
pay
got.
taxes either. I don't
We
like to
don't.
pay.
But
I'm
you're
trying to
footing the
get there.
bill.
So I'm trying to get there.
You
So
know
when I
how you
get
get
there,
there.
I should
You
be a
know how you
victim.
get there. You
No,
see.
no, no.
You
I
know
know
how
how.
you get
I
there.
I know how to. I
Jeff
know how I'm
Bezos
gonna get
not
there.
paying his taxes is preventing you from getting there.
No,
That's
no,
why I'm
no,
saying
no,
yes,
no, no,
yes,
no, no.
yes, Abraham.
Okay,
Because
that's
we
it.
right now, us
Okay.
in our six figures trying to get to seven figure, we're
Mhm.
taking the bulk of the tax burden. I'm carrying the load for the people who are making $50,000 and
Because
less,
you are employee.
and
Because you are employee.
I'm carrying the load even as a business owner. Low income business owners, just because you own a business does not mean you're not an employee technically. Most business owners, when I say 92% of Black businesses are sole proprietorships. So just
So
because we
they,
own a business, don't think our tax bracket got better.
so they need to change it. They need to change it, right? Don't be a sole
Capitalism
proprietorship.
says
Go to LLC.
capitalism dictates where the wealth goes. Capitalism dictates who pays taxes. And for right now, you keep wanting to squeeze all the orange juice out of this one orange, which is the middle class, and it's going dry. That's what we're dealing with. You talk about consumer spending being down. This is why. How much spending can my $100,000 a year salary do? How much?
Okay,
How much?
I'm just saying, right? He want to offer affordable or whatever affordable rent or free rent in New York, free childcare. That stuff does not work. If someone is living there and life is too expensive, get out of there.
But
That's the
you're
only I don't
okay.
agree with his socialist policy. That's what
But
I'm
you're
saying. I don't agree
okay.
with yeah.
But capitalism, corporations against socialist policies all the time. Abraham, you're okay with $18 million of your tax dollars going to Walmart. You're okay for Target to get a $20 million tax abatement. What happens is you're happy that Target moves into your city, right? Target will occupy 11 acres of land. And let's say that 11 acres of land means they need to pay $14 million in taxes every year. But you're saying no, instead of Target paying $14 million of taxes on that 11 acres, let them just pay 5. So who's covering the other, what is that? The other $8 or $9 million? The homeowner. Me with my little $100,000 a year salary, living in my $500,000 home, now paying $11,000 in property tax is covering the welfare you gave to Target. Now rests on my shoulders to pay, so that my city has the budget it needs to be able to afford all the amenities that every citizen is going to enjoy, whether they're working or not, or paying their fair share of taxes. That's the reality. That's how the economics of things work. Maple Grove, 77% of the budget comes from homeowners. Brooklyn Park, the same thing. Over 50% of any of these cities' budgets is coming from homeowners.
Don't
How
get me
are they
wrong.
getting it? Yes.
I do have problem with property taxes. Don't get me wrong. It's like I feel that that's one of the because anytime they want to build a new school, that's the first place they look. Anytime they want to get a new building, that's the first place they look. Okay, why do you keep increasing my property tax when my property value is not going up? But you just keep inflicting it artificially, right? Just to I do have problem with that. But guess what though? Don't get me wrong. Is to your point, the wealthy, when they go up there, right, they know how to maneuver those. They don't have to pay those taxes. So there shouldn't be anything wrong with that.
But so
There
that's
shouldn't,
not
there
fair.
shouldn't,
That's
there
criminal.
shouldn't be anything wrong with that.
No, no, no.
Everyone,
It's not that.
I think
It's
everyone
not
should
that it's
strive to get up
legal.
there.
But it's
Mm.
not that it's legal. It's not that they're getting any breaks. You're saying, oh, when I get to that dollar amount, I want those breaks. They're not legal breaks. They're just evading paying their share of taxes. The law
Yeah.
says they need to pay 30%, which Warren Buffett has no problem paying.
Miss B, you don't pay the thing about it, right? I think what is it? Randy said it here yesterday. When it comes to debt, debt is non-taxable. You don't tax debt. And that's how the rich and the wealthy, that's how they live. It's on debt. You and I, we take our paycheck, right? We take our paycheck. Like Elon Musk is not taking pay from Tesla. He's not an employee, right? He's an employee, but he's not taking pay from Tesla. Tim
He
Cook,
gets
right? Yeah,
he
so
does.
these folks,
He does.
well,
His
if it's,
proceeds come to him, and they go into his proceeds go into his stock. So instead of me getting a check, which is going to be taxed, I'm deciding I'm going, and the law is saying that it's okay. For an extent, it was fine, because of what we hope would
it should be
happen.
okay. It should be okay
No,
because
not
that is not.
forever. It's caught up with us, Abraham. This is what has happened.
Okay.
What technically happens is job creation. Every elected official pride themselves and they champion themselves on job creation. If you're in office and you can say I created 100,000 jobs, you'll see any candidate running for office. Those are the main things they're going to run on: job creation and tax. Anybody running for office, and they'll say job creation. Who are they looking to create the jobs? Typically, capitalism hope that what will happen. Jeff Bezos company making a lot of money now. That's why the Republicans call it the triple. That's what they call it, the trickle down, the tricklenomics. Reaganomics is a trickle down effect, that the money will flow from here to the bottom, but we continue to see that the money only flows one way. It doesn't flow back the other way, because you're hoping that up here, the incentives that they get as this corporation will be able to create jobs and keep jobs for the economy to keep going and for people to keep working and keep paying those taxes. But what we're finding is, to some extent, they have exploited it beyond measures. And we have to come back and say, look, it worked for a while. You're talking about the industrial age, when you had all these manufacturing jobs got created, roads were being built, the gateway to the economy was your roads and bridges. That's the thing. Everybody was building roads and bridges, right? That was the way we built this country. We did it to an extent. It worked. Don't get me, it worked. Working anymore, because at some point now, they got used to not paying their share, and the government is struggling to find the money it needs, and you're squeezing the middle class. We almost don't have a middle class anymore. For the inflation was never a thing. For decades, we didn't deal with inflation. Since the Great Recession, we haven't dealt with inflation, to be honest. Now all of a sudden, we just sit in inflation. We're sitting in recessions because you squeeze out your middle class.
Okay. Anyway, I can't get you on that. By the way, I was just a Zoran Madani man that I appreciate his background, but that socialism you want to bring to New York, good luck with that. But anyways, so let's get to, as we close that tonight, let's get to Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, 75 million. He been calling my man all the time, But the man is getting married this weekend, $75 million wedding to Lauren Sanchez.
Let's dissect that relationship.
I think, right, here's what I have to say about that. If I left Mackenzie Bezos, right, the man left Mackenzie Bezos, right, is like to go and date Lauren Sanchez or whatever. But if I have to marry her, man, I think she's in her 50s or whatever. If I'm going to spend 75 million or a male to marry a female, that should be is like anything around a male to marry a female. I'm just going to say here right here on this platform tonight, it should be a supermodel, it should be a supermodel, in their 20s, because dude. But anyway, that's what I'm saying, right? Money sometimes just makes folks do all kinds of things. I don't think he's doing it for the money. I think like maybe there's some special feelings he have for her or whatever. But I was like 75 million marrying Lauren Sanchez. Why?
So
and she's not that beautiful. She's not even that beautiful compared to Mackenzie Bezos. Mackenzie Bezos.
I think what happens is, and it's with any marriage, you're in it for a long time, and then you get to this point where you feel like, oh my gosh, it's make or break us. And the ones who have the happy ending, they didn't allow it to break them, because you can't be in love with that person forever, right? You fall out of love and you have to find your way back to each other. And the ones who are able to find their way back to each other can say, hey, I'm celebrating 52 years or so on, right? Because reality is, being almost 2 decades, 3 decades with somebody. My 20-year-old self is different from my 30-year-old self, different from my 40-year-old self, 50-year-old, 60. So every decade with age, different things are happening to you as a woman, as a person. You're finding yourself, you're growing differently, and all those things you're doing with the same person, right? And you're not remaining the same person. And so all those dynamics is what the relationship is battling with. I say that to say Jeff Bezos is okay marrying the Lauren Sanchez lady because he's old. He's in this phase of, I want to be settled, I want to be stable now. And so this is going to be my last bus stop. And some women who you're in your marriage, you're with your young husband, you guys are getting older. If you're patient and you guys can stay through the harsh, tough times, and I'm not talking about financial times, the hard, tough, emotional time where you're falling out of love with each other and you can find your way back, you end up like Lauren Sanchez, where you have your Jeff Bezos. So I think that's what happened with Mackenzie Scott and Jeff. Like, she was with him from the beginning when Amazon was only in the garage, right? She was there in the trenches. He gets to this point, and at some point, maybe you like, look at, after he leaves the woman, now he retires as the CEO. He has a lot more time on his hands. That's why Lauren is enjoying what Mackenzie had poured into him, unfortunately, because she couldn't wait anymore for her to be the most important thing in his life. And that's what happens. I'm speaking as a married woman. Like,
who left? Who left who though? I didn't follow the whole details of the Mackenzie.
She left him. She left
Mm,
him. You know,
mm.
and just how Bill Gates and Melinda Gates are no longer together. Yeah,
So McKinsey left the. I mean, with
she
with
left
with Bill
him.
with Bill Gates on, right. I don't even want to go there, but that dude was deep. I mean, he's the
There you go. And
Bill Gates
still
was
deep.
deep, but
And still deep.
with Jeff, there's nothing scandalous have come about Jeff.
No, that's
You
why I said what I said. I think it's just that falling out of love with each other and trying to find your way back together, and you just don't, right? But if
mm.
she had hung in there, maybe, you know, she would be enjoying what this woman is now enjoying.
But that's
The
what she's doing.
Sanchez
All she's doing is like flying all over the place on the yacht. I mean, and it's like you wondering, it's like, man,
he's a
he's
retired $200 billion net worth, right? I think that's what Jeff Bezos is worth. How much?
I know he's the second richest person. I don't know his current net worth, and things like that. But you are seeing Lauren Sanchez everywhere. Jerry's like by his side, on a cruise, on a yacht, on a in a private jet. He's like, man, she's living her best life.
And right now, Mark Zuckerberg is the second
He
because
is because
Zuckerberg is worth
yeah,
245 and Bezos is worth 227.
because Meta has been going through the roof. Zuck is doing his thing, right? And he married to
The
Priscilla
Asian
Chi.
lady,
Yeah, Priscilla Chi.
young,
Yeah.
exactly, and they could face the same challenges because what happens here if you don't make time for the relationship, you will lose it. And I
But
think
but
what
McKinsey
Jeff
said, yeah, but
Bezos has
McKinsey
time.
said, McKinsey said, the man's busy. The man, you and
Yes,
the man have kids. Come on, man. What else are you looking for? Settle down, man. Play your cool. But you
is she
females
really?
though, sometimes you females, you don't have patience. So that's the thing.
Dude, the woman was married to this man for 20 plus years, I
Well,
think.
and
But
the time she should have
don't,
patience, she lost the patience. That's the thing, right? Just hang
that's
in
the
there.
unfortunate thing.
Just
That's
hang
y'all.
in there. It's
Because what
unfortunate.
happened? George Clooney waited until he was 50 years old to get married.
Okay.
And now
Okay.
his Amal is just pulling him by a leash. She's controlling. Yeah, one of the most handsomest man in Hollywood, and Amal came from nowhere with her skinny self.
She's beautiful and
And,
she's young.
and
They may
she,
marry a young
yeah,
chick. They may marry a young chick.
because
You know.
that's what happens. Certain men, you enjoy them when they're older, and that's what Lauren Sanchez getting a 75. There you go. There go capitalism right there. Why the hell is anybody spending stuff? What are you buying for $75 million, Abraham?
The man got
What can you
223.
possibly do?
The man got 223 billion dollars. 75 million is like me spending $50 on a wedding. That's like
Yes,
it's like it's like me spending $50 on a
idea.
wedding. Yeah.
The idea, 75 million. That's some people's generational wealth right there that
It
you're
might not
spending
even. It might not
on
even.
the
It might
next
not even.
4 days.
Yeah.
You're
75
spending on the
million.
next 4 days. Like they
Yeah.
booked gondolas. They're having the wedding in Venice. They booked the water taxis. They booked gondolas. You're entertaining wealthy people, like other billionaires. You're paying for them for them to enjoy themselves for free on
Mm-hmm.
your bill for the
Yep.
next 4 days. And
Yep.
then me and Abraham paying for this wedding.
No, no, no. Not you myself. The man paying for
Yeah,
their own.
we paying for the wedding, Abraham. Stop it.
No, 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 not you myself. Not you myself.
Stop it.
Hey,
Amazon is
I
looking to
those are
build.
those are my idols, right? I wish I can. Hey,
You idolizing the wrong people.
no, no, no. Those are my idols, right? They are doing the right thing. They work for that. They make it from the garage. Amazon started US subsidy from the garage, and here he is today having a 75
Don't
million
get
dollar
here in
wedding.
that bootstrapping story. That is not his story. His
What's his
parents had
story?
money. His
Oh,
parents had money. They gave him
okay,
$300,000 to start that business. And
three
when he
hundred
was
thousand
going
dollars.
broke,
Mm-hmm.
and almost filed bankruptcy, he was able to get $4.5 million from investors, which he
Hey,
got because of who he knew. So there's
you,
no such thing as boot. I don't like when capitalist people don't acknowledge how the system has helped them to grow this wealth, does not want to give credit to the system and the taxpayers for growing your wealth, right? And you want to feel like you some bootstrap person. Every one of their stories, none of them you will see bootstrap came from poverty. Joe Biden is probably the closest you'll get to a real bootstrap story, to be honest.
okay, okay,
Yes. But
okay.
everybody else, they had mom and dad's money to help
Mm,
them. They had
okay,
connection. That's when people
okay.
talk about Bill Gates drop out of Harvard. He dropped out of where? He dropped out of where? Harvard. Okay. Who goes to
Okay.
Harvard? Who goes to
Okay.
Harvard? Presidents. You got presidents from other countries sending their kids here to go to Harvard. So wealthy people go to Harvard. So when you're
Okay.
dropping out of Harvard, you're taking those wealthy connects with you. You're taking those wealthy people money with you to go start this empire now where you become a billionaire.
Okay. Okay. Well, folks, tonight's an open mic. I let Miss Blue. She's flowing tonight. She's in her element. She's attacking capitalism. She's here going up, blah, blah, blah. But hey, man, it's been an open mic. Current events, we have covered a lot from the daily trial. It's closing this week. Closing arguments going on to the Tyler Perry bombshell, where in like two dudes are accusing him of sexual assault, not even harassment, but sexual assault. To all the honor downloads, folks in Hollywood, there, that whole entertainment industry, so many folks be on the download. To the Zoran Madani, man, immigrant from Uganda doing his thing in New York. My only problem with him is a socialist. And then to the Jeff Bezos 75 million hour wedding. It's been a lit segment. I mean, as I said, I'll let you
Yeah.
play.
We went over
Yeah,
an hour.
you've been your element, you've been flowing, you've been going all out and things like that. But anyway, as to close that, right, that's what I want to do tonight, just to give the audience some fun. It's been fun. But as we close up, man, what is the party message for the audience tonight?
I believe in making money. I feel like you guys should go and make as much money as possible. But please share the wealth and pay your taxes.
Okay. Here I would say, right, capitalism is the best system. Whatever you want to compare it to, go work. It might be hard. It might be hard to get up there, right? Don't stop giving rich people bad rap. That's all I can say. And shout out to Jeff Bezos, right? Shout out, man. Having a 75 million hour wedding. Enjoy yourself this weekend, Daddy. Enjoy, enjoy
Congratulations, you
yourself this
guys.
weekend, yeah.
Enjoy.
And Lauren Sanchez, enjoy that map because hey, enjoy it. Even though you didn't work for it, right? It was McKinsey that worked hard for it, but enjoy it. So, but folks, it's been a great segment. And tomorrow, I think the whole thing is gonna maybe tomorrow the social segment gonna just get into so many things. You don't want to wait for that. It's gonna be late. The
They're
social
coming.
segment gonna be late
Bringing it
tomorrow.
hard. Yes.
So tune in tomorrow. But thanks so much for joining us on the Inner Cycle Park. Yeah, it's been good having you tonight. So you all have a good night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Thank you. Good night.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Strong,
Yeah.
we're never alone. Together.